we had people. Am I recording? Okay. We had a couple people ask for a recording, so I'm going to honor them with that. Thanks for coming today. I'm Chris Daniel, faculty PD manager for EKU Online. Really glad to be here. As always, get in touch with me, chris.daniel@eku.edu if you need help. I'll respond as soon as I can. The job here is to help you all feel better about doing your jobs and hopefully taking some of the technical burden off of you all, as well as, talking about some of the pedagogical stuff that we all kind of face. Blackboard Ultra is the new learning management system under Blackboard, because we have a license for Original, we have a license for Ultra. I'm presenting this just as information, but let me also plug, I have a PD1 Ultra course. So about 80 minutes of video, some interactive quizzes and walkthroughs. If you want signed into that, just shoot me a message either here in the chat or email me. I'll get you into that course. That course is Microsoft Teams attached. So if you are in the course and you want to use Teams to communicate with me or other people trying to learn about Ultra under PD1, you can do that, and I'll respond as quickly as I can to those, hopefully within a few minutes, but maybe up to 24 business hours, as it were, or what is it? Actually 7.5 business hours. Anyway, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen here. And first of all, can you all see sort of the list? Why would you want to switch to Blackboard Ultra? And first of all, I guess I should ask if you all have any questions that you want me to try to answer before we even get started. If I'm thinking about the future in terms of delivering online content to students, some pros kind of come to mind. Can you all see my little list of pros and cons? Yeah. Okay. So first of all, this is it's a modern application based on a modern code base. Original's code base is over 20 years old now. So we constantly find that there are problems. With that, some of these pros that I mentioned might be cons to you. So, it's up to you what you think is important. But they have a team, a much larger team of developers working to make changes and quickly fix issues as they arise. And I believe that's much faster, that development cycle is with Ultra than with Original. Ultra is supposed to be platform agnostic, meaning almost any device that a student would care to use to engage in the course content is going to be usable out of the gate. Now, there is a Blackboard app that kind of equalizes that for Original courses, and they can certainly use that app on whatever device they want. But if I just open up a device web browser, I should find that an Ultra course is much more user-friendly than it is under Original, meaning students should be able to see most of the content. I don't know why you would want to type a paper with your thumbs, but that is a possibility, more of a possibility under Ultra than it is Original. It is a more simplified interface into course content. You're about to see that here in just a few minutes. Now, simple can sometimes mean stifling, but I believe that if you're looking for an easy workflow, a more straightforward workflow into putting content in a course, and if you're looking for courses to look about the same from one course to another, one department to another within a college, that's going to be more attainable than with Original, where you can go to one course and it looks completely different than the other one to a certain extent. The copy and paste feature works better. So if you're copying from Word to Ultra, you're going to get a better, more reasonable experience. Sometimes when you paste into Original, weird things can happen to your documents. And then there's MS Teams integration. MS Teams is the sort of the team-based chat and communications tool that's part of the new Microsoft Office 365. And I don't know what to compare it to if you've never seen something like that, but your group gets enrolled into a team, like my work group, for example, and we have the ability to text message each other on that platform. We can paste documents. We can create a repository of documents, and it's a nice way of communicating. Now, some faculty aren't going to want to be on speed dial 7 days a week. I just say to that, don't use it, or set the expectation that you're not going to answer these Teams messages any faster than you would an email, or however you want to look at that. Teams use is sort of beyond the scope of my talk, but I'm glad afterwards to talk about that. Any questions before we get started? I've enrolled each of you, unless, both of you are in a course already. If you don't want to be in there, I'll take you out. But I enrolled you in a group management sandbox course. And so if you look at your under courses, you should see this course card where it says group MGMT sandbox. And that's just so you can play around. You can do anything in this course that you want to. I have 100 fake students in this course for messing about with groups and discussion boards. And so feel free to get in that course if you want to and follow along, or not, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to come in here and I just want to briefly sort of introduce the interface and its major components, and then how you do various tasks in the learning management system. Please stop me if you have questions or something's not clear. I want to make sure this is a good experience for you. So with that, the main aspect of your Blackboard course is this course content area. This is where all the content is managed, created, and manipulated. And to make something happen in this course content area, we would hit a plus, and I'll show more about that later. But when we hit a plus, we're going to be able to create folders. We're going to be able to create learning modules, which is kind of a fancy folder with some extra features. We're going to be able to create documents, tests, assignments, discussion boards, and all the things that you would normally expect to see happen in this main window portion of this course. Your main navigation to various major aspects of the course happen in this upper left quadrant of the screen, the menu here. So content is the main and default area. However, if we wanted to look at the discussions that we have in the course, we would click discussions, and we would move to an area where we don't see anything else but the discussions that we are to create or deal with. If we want to look at our gradebook, that happens in this gradebook menu. If we want to send a message to all students or particular students, think of this as an email, we would come over into messages. So just...
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Updated on the new platform. I know that message you said email. Is it dynamic enough where the student can choose SMS or other?
I'm sorry, say again?
Is the system robust or dynamic enough where the student can choose to have it SMS?
Oh God, I wish it were. No,
okay.
This automatically flows to student email at this time.
Okay.
Now, everything I say is probably going to have to be caveated with at this time, because things are changing on a weekly basis now. So what I say today may be wrong tomorrow. And in fact, like, I've developed this getting started course, and I think a couple of cosmetic things are already invalidated. But I just, at some point, I just had to throw up my hands and say, we're just going to roll with it. But no, that's a good question. I wish it were, because, as you know, students prefer that method of communication. And I'm not sure why the university hasn't moved on that yet. But these three items here, menu items, content, discussions, actually four, gradebook and messages, are going to be the most popular. Now, there's a calendar feature that if you do everything, like if you set appropriate due dates and availability dates, you'll see those pieces in a calendar. You can also create items based on the calendar. So I'm going to go back to content. One other section, and it's sort of like a miscellaneous menu, details and actions, but there are some important things that happen in these menus. Probably the most important is announcements. So you can create an announcement that actually pops up on the screen when students first log in, or they log in after you've posted a new announcement. So that's kind of a nice feature as well. And it works very similarly to the old announcements. You just title the announcement, who are the recipients, and then once you save it, I'll just do this really quickly. You can send an email copy or not. When you hit save, then you can you can save those up if you want, and then you can hit post now, and then it posts them for that pop-up feature to engage. So main content area, go ahead.
That's different than the message at the top.
Yes. Messages. I don't like I never am satisfied with nomenclature, Eric, but think of messages as email.
Email, right.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
So you've got main menu, course content, details and actions, which contains lots of miscellaneous features and functions. And then let me show you student preview. So heretofore, we had the 0 pretend student user or pretend student users. That's what Gene Kleppinger called it. That was created for every course. We don't have that anymore unless you really want one. We found use of those to be very low. You can instead hit student preview, start preview, and get a fully functional fake student account to test anything that you'd like to see automatically. And now there's not really much to see in this sandbox course that we have, but I'm a student user right now. Anything I do will be registered. If I were to take a test, it would go into the grade book under a pretend student user row. And so you could see you could see any of those actions that I took. If you exit out, you have the option to discard all of that progress or to save it. So if you just want to muck about and not save anything that pretend student did, you can just say discard. If you want to save it and look at it later, you can just hit save. I think that's a useful feature if you're doing some testing when you first start launching a course. So let me talk about actually creating some content items. Anywhere you see a plus, whether it's ahead of a folder or a learning module, or whether it's inside of a learning module, you'll see between each of these lines is the ability to find and click on a plus. I'm not going to do it inside a folder yet. I'm going to do it outside of a folder. And then I have some options. I'm going to go to create because that's how we can create most of the major options, even though we have some options to consider here. So I'm just going to hit the plus, hit create, and that pops up a sidebar menu that you'll want to get used to as you navigate Ultra. It asks you what kind of item would you like to create. And the first two items are learning module and folder. A learning module is a container just like a folder, except in a learning module, it allows you to control the sequence and it gives students check boxes for each item that is inside the learning module. So as an example, if I create this learning module, now it's going to ask me what's the name of the learning module. I may just call it M1 for module 1. By default, anything you create is hidden from students. So you want to be careful to think about that. Do you really want to hide it from students, or do you want to make it available or visible? Visible to students, and then you can add a description. Do you want to force the sequence? In other words, do you want students to have to look at the first thing first and the second thing second, and so on? Blackboard reports there's trouble with this feature right now. So I don't have it in any of my Ultra courses at this time. So when I save, it creates M1. It looks just like a folder. A folder looks almost identical to a learning module. Let me show you what that looks like when it's all fleshed out. I'm going to go into a course that is fully fleshed out. And then I'm going to go to EKU Ultra. Here I have learning modules, and I'm going to start a student preview. Each one of these containers is a module. And if I go in here, notice I'm at start here. This circle here represents as a pie how much of the content have I consumed or at least placed on my screen. So if I click on start here, notice that there will be, I do have pacing controlled or sequencing controlled here. I have to look at how to get started before I can go on. Notice these little circles have a lock icon inside them. So if I click how to get started, it just gives me a list. Notice there's a right arrow. I don't have to back out of this area by hitting the X to go to the next one. And if students see this on a smartphone, it's going to be a contained, I could get into Chrome and simulate that if you really want, but it will be more contained. They'll still see the content very similarly here. They'll just have less screen real estate, and they can swipe to the next item. So notice I've got this looking for Blackboard original training. It's just some more text. If I close out of that, look what I see. I see these two circles now have check marks in them. The introduction video doesn't, but it's unlocked. And the next two items are locked. And this is what force sequence gives you. I really need to turn it off because we've been, as I said, we've been having trouble, but that's what the student sees. If you create a folder instead of a learning module, you get none of this. You just get a folder and the content inside it, which can be perfectly fine. So that's creating documents and folders. So inside this are folders and learning modules. If I want to create an item inside of the learning module, I just click it, see that plus, go to create. And now I can create other types of content items. I'm going to go for document because it's the most used and also kind of the most complex. So if I go to document, first of all, I'm going to give that a name. One document one, very creative. And then this is my, I don't like to use the word canvas because that's the competing product, right? But it's a canvas. It's how we're going to structure this document. And so I could start by adding a YouTube video here if I wanted to. If I click add HTML, it's going to give me an HTML editor. And I'm just going to go to YouTube. Oh, let's not get too creative because I don't know where we'll go. Cats. How about that? Cats will make you laugh your head off. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to share this cats video. I'm going to grab the embed code here. If you want to see that step by step, I'm glad to show it, but I do this a lot, so I'm pretty quick. So there's my in document one. I want to start off with a cats video, so I'm gonna save that, and now I've embedded that. But I can also add additional items inside this document, and I just do that by hovering over these dotted lines to find that plus. The plus is our magic entry into adding stuff. And let's say I want to have a some sort of header or subheader. Now I could just add content. So now I could just start typing along. And now I have a traditional sort of web text editor if I want. And I can go under text. Is it text options? Oh, where do we get font size? I'll just do that. I could increase the font size there. I thought there was a way to get some styles. There's bulleted list stuff, but I'm just going to hit save. Great. Now, what if I want to attach a document that I have on my computer? I can hit the plus here, upload from computer. So I'm adding three elements inside this document. I'm not even sure. There's some sort of PDF. So I'm inserting a PDF. I have some control. Do I want students to be able to download this PDF? You know, we've had some problems with fair use in the past. In fact, in one of my courses where I teach Ultra, I have an entire textbook chapter that I don't want them to pay for, but I want to give that to them. I think it's fair use, but if I inhibit the download, then I don't have to worry about it. We're behind a paywall. I probably shouldn't say that because I may get in trouble, but I mean, I think one chapter is okay. So I'll just say view only for this PDF, and I can give it a display name. And then when a student goes into it, they should be able to see the full PDF embedded in a window. They can't download it. I've inhibited this ability to download. So very quickly, we've added three elements into this one document, if you will. Don't forget, it's hidden from students by default. If we want to just make it visible, that's fine. We can also place release conditions on this. So if we want to say only graduate students can see this document, we could make that rule. We could put all our graduate students in a group and make it visible only to them. We could make it so that they had to take a 2-question quiz before they had access to this. That is, I won't delve into that because it's kind of minutia and maybe more than you want to process, but realize that that's possible. I'm just going to make it visible, and I'm going to go back out. And then now you'll see that under M1 is M1 document 1. Any questions about creating a document? Anybody want to say something? You can also, if you don't want to go through all that tedium and you just have the document, you could hit this plus. I'm going to be in the same container, the same module, hit the plus and click upload. Find the document. I don't even know what this is, some Word document. We'll just do view only. Remember, it's hidden from students. Let's make it visible, but there it is. So that was like a 3-click operation there if we just want to add a document. What if we've got it in the cloud? Well, we have cloud accounts, right? We have Microsoft Office, whatever we're calling that, OneDrive, I believe, and we have Google Drive. If we click cloud storage, it gives us 4 options. We don't really have EKU Dropbox or Box accounts, so I'm not going to talk about those. But let's say Google Drive. I'm going to sign in with Google. In this case, I'm going to sign in with my EKU Google account. So it's just my EKU email address. Oh. Google Workspace account owned by EKU. I don't know if we've picked sides yet as a university who likes OneDrive versus Google Drives, but I'm going to go to continue. Say okay. And now I don't know why that screen popped up, but I'm just going to find what I want. There's some stuff from my old working with nursing days here. Let's see what I can find. I don't know that I'd host video. That's probably not a good idea. There's some policy document. That's nice and boring. And import. And it's grabbing that right from the cloud. All I had to do was authenticate with my EKU email address and password. And we're looking on my Google account from there, not my personal Google, whatever that happens to be. And then there it is. Remember, it's hidden from students. We got to make it visible. But that document now lives in this course. And it's taking its time to render, but it should get there. You may want to give it several minutes. You can also rename it too if you don't want to see the docx extension there. So that's adding documents. You also have that feature inside the document we just created. So if you wanted to go back and add another section to this CATS document and select upload from cloud storage, it's the exact same process. It's just, are we offering a standalone version of that document, or are we embedding it into another document that we've created here? All right, so let me now I'm going to hit the plus again, going to go to create, and let's just add a plain old link. Now you can make this a course link. I don't know. This is such a more straightforward learning management system. I don't know that we need to do a lot of course links, but I'm going to do a web link and I'm going to make it visible. I'm just going to do eku.edu, add a description, hit save. That's it. Oh, we should probably have named it. It takes EKU. If you need to go back and make changes, like edit things, 3 dots to the right of that, whatever item it is, and go to edit. And then you can go back and do. If we need to move any of these items around inside the folder, take your mouse pointer and move over the item until you see the up and down arrow icons. It's one icon that looks like an up arrow and a down arrow. Click and just drag. Click and just drag. And they change. This used to be tedious. They've improved it in the last month. It used to be, it was a pain to move it and get it to drop where you wanted. Let's create something else. Let's go ahead and how about a test? So I'm going to hit the plus, click create, and under assessment is test. Here's an interesting difference between Ultra and Original. Tests and assignments look very similar. And if you create a test and then you add an item to allow students to drop, or type or drop, they can almost kind of be interchangeable. But I would not, I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a minute. I would just add questions to a test, and then I would allow students to upload a document with another, like with the assessment item or the assignment item, I should say. So I'm going to give this quiz, M1 quiz, naming it up here. I'm going to make it visible to students. My basic test settings are right here. So, in Original, you had to go dig for test settings to set availability, set the due date, determine number of points. You don't have to do that anymore. It's all contained here. Now, there are advanced settings. There are more settings by hitting this gear icon here. But if you know what the due date's going to be on this test, and you know that you want to prohibit late submissions, and you want to prohibit backtracking. So we're getting into some of the more advanced items here. You can go ahead and do that once you have questions created. So I'm going to add a question. So I can find a question pool that I have already created. That's a little more advanced feature. There are calculated formula questions, calculated numeric questions, essay questions. I'm going to do and they're fill in the blank. I'm going to add a hotspot because that's a brand new option and I like it. And I think both nursing and athletic trainers type folks may need this. So I'm going to hit add a hotspot. I'm going to ask my question. I'm going to upload from device here an image. And let's see, let's just do, this is just some goofy image that so this is an image. Sorry, it's probably not the best image, but we'll say find the EKU. When I click add hotspot, it makes the hotspot on the screen. I can size that hotspot however I want. And I can leave it alone. That can be the question. When the student sees this question, they just drag the hotspot marker down from the top of the screen and places it wherever they want. So I'm going to go ahead and just save this. And if I go and preview it as a student user, I'm going to view assessment. So I'm going to click this pin. That brings the pin on the screen. And now I just drag the pin over to the EKU where I drew that box, where that hotspot box was sized by me and placed by me. And then I hit submit. Students get confirmations. I don't really know what this does for you, but for them, it makes them feel like, yeah, Blackboard successfully received your test submission. You can download or close it. Notice it already graded it and I got a 10 out of 10 as a student. I'm going to exit and save. If I go into Gradebook, and I'll show Gradebook here in just a second. If I go to, so I'm in Gradebook. The grid view looks similar to Blackboard original. If I click over here, here's my M1 quiz, and I want to view the attempt. I can see where they placed the marker and where I had my hotspot sized and placed. With hotspot questions, you can also have multiple hotspots on the screen and have only one be correct. So if I go back to this quiz and I want to edit this question, I can add more hotspots. And I could make only one of them correct, or I can make all of them correct. I can also give descriptions. So that's the hotspot. Well, for some reason, it's not letting me go edit. Weird. I think because somebody already tried to take this, I can't add additional questions. So I'll just go back and create a new test here. Matching questions, they work very similarly to Blackboard original. You just add the prompt and then add the answer. You can add a fake answer. So that question's saved. I'm going to create a new one. Multiple choice works. Multiple choice or multiple answer is now the same question. Each of these are 10 points. You can change that point allocation if you want. So that's creating a test. Any questions about that? Assignments also very similar. It looks almost the same. You get a canvas. I'm going to hit create, go to assignment. Typically for submissions, written submissions or submissions of other types of files, I would just click the plus and then go to, I'm looking for the prompt, add text there. By default, students are allowed to add content, which can be an attachment. You just hit save after you've given some sort of directions and then set your due date. Let me tell you about grade category, when you create assignments or anything that's going to be graded, you can assign a grade category. The default grade categories are quiz, presentation, homework, exam, discussion, test, journal, and assignment. Doing this just helps you later if you want to filter your grade book to only look at those types of assignments, or if you want to use a category in determining the total grade or the end of term grade. So if you want to give all quizzes a certain weighted percentage, setting that up and being mindful of which assignment goes under which category is important initially. So those are the main things you would add by clicking the plus and then going to create. We can talk about discussions if you want, but it's a little bit more involved, but I'm glad to show that if you like. Let me show the grade book because there are a couple of key differences between what happens in the original grade book, grade center, and the new ultra grade book. When I first come into the grade book, I have the ability to switch between this list view and grid view. Grid view is this traditional presentation of a column for every graded item, gradable item, and a row for every student. The list view, by default, shows all the gradable items in a list. And then it can show, if you click students, it can show you every student. You can filter or sort based on the last access in the course. And if you click that student, then you will see their progress along all of the gradable items. So it kind of lets you drill down on that student a little. You can get the same kinds of information in the grid view. It really just depends on which presentation you like better. And so if I want to look at the progress on the M1 quiz by the student, I just click that. And it will take me into that one quiz question that we answered.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, like when you were in the M1 and it says you can give feedback to the student there, does Blackboard's new system for that feedback, especially if you're grading papers or certain things, keep standardized comments you've already made that you can choose down like its competitors does in Canvas? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I don't think there's a repository of comments that get saved.
Okay.
At this time. That's a good thing to look for. There are all these documents and presentations that they're giving us to tell us what's on the roadmap. I'll look for that.
My second question on this is then I'm assuming it also doesn't have the embedded video where I can just give video feedback or dictation feedback.
Now, what you can do is if you've created that in another application or using some other process, you can come in here and in this feedback editor, you have the ability to show a link. Yeah,
but it doesn't allow you like in Canvas where I can click on and give audio feedback, or I can click on and embed.
There is a new record. This is pretty new. You do have this recording window.
So it will do audio at least.
It will do. I believe it will do.
Or is it audio to text? Oh, it has video.
Yeah, but we're on video, so I don't know how well it will work. But this is fairly new. Like, it's pretty new, so I don't know how well it works. But yeah, we've got it.
Okay, good. Because that's Now, do you also know, I guess this is my other question, like in the competitor, one of the things I do like is that embedded video for like when you're creating that introduction to the module.
Mm-hmm.
I can just click on it and do the recording. I don't have to do a separate recording, upload it and all of that.
Yeah, I believe that. I don't know if that is on board yet. Let's look.
But you get what I'm saying?
I
Whether
do
it's
get what you're saying. And I think it's I mean, that's where we want to go probably. The problem is that they want to start charging us for space. And
right.
so, that's something to be worked out. Let's go to create. Let's go to create document,
I just
add content. And is there I don't see record here.
see media and all of that. No, I don't either. Okay.
Nope.
Unless it's under.
No, I don't see it at this time. I'm
Okay.
sure I'm not sure, but there's probably a workaround
Right.
for that.
Well,
But
I mean, part of the workaround is I can record the video and then I can use the link or whatever and I can upload it. But
yeah,
in Canvas, I can just click video record, it records it and embeds it right
right.
there.
And we want to avoid steps because it's just like it's
Right.
the failure, it's additional time and all of that. Absolutely. No, but it looks like right now there's not that. I wonder if there's another creation item. Nope.
Yeah.
Don't see it. I'll ask about that, Eric, and I'll get back with you on it. So back to gradebook. List view is a presentation of items, gradable items on a list. When you click on that particular item, then you can see student progress. And you can grade based on that. One interesting aspect is when we grade, that doesn't mean the student sees it yet. If we grade, like I'm just going to assign a grade here, it posted it automatically. Sometimes, like if we go into a document and we give feedback and we assign a grade, the student doesn't see it until we click a post button. So for a quiz, it's going to do that automatically. But if I go back here and I need a submission to show you, but you would need to click the post or go into there'll be a button over here that says post all, and you click that, and that's what actually posts the grade. I kind of like that because sometimes I may look at a student submission and then think after seeing a second one, well, maybe I was a little harsh, or maybe I wasn't harsh enough, or maybe I have something else I want to just add. I can do that, and then I don't post that for students to view until I've hit the post all, as it were. I could show that if you want me to get into that, but I have to, as a student, submit a document. Let me see if it's here at all. Because this is because this is a submitted assignment. Notice that now I have to hit that post button to allow the student to view it. And if I go back to, well, it's supposed to show a post button here. I'm not sure why it doesn't. So you can get to the, go ahead.
Would it only show the post button there once you graded everybody's?
I don't think so, because I've seen it after I've graded a couple. Let me do like one, or maybe you have to have like more than one. Evelyn's in trouble.
So it looks like it defaults and you have to manually post it or hit the post all grades at the top.
What I'm hoping is when I back out of here, I'm going to see a post button tied to this assignment because I have more than one. Let me go back. Let me get it to refresh here. There. It just needed to refresh.
It tells you how many to post, 3 to post.
Yeah, 3 to post.
Okay.
And it'll tell you how many needed to be graded. It gives you, a pretty good status snapshot here.
Now, if you create it though, where it's, I don't know, like the quick reading comprehension that they read before quizzes and it's self-grading. Is that a box you can check that it can just post it?
Those are automatic posts by default.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Quiz types of assessments, quick quizzes, those post automatically.
Okay.
But if you had a test where there was a long answer, or
Right.
not a long answer, or even a short answer, then you would have to post it.
Okay.
Grid is all we can get everywhere in Grid that we can in list view. The main difference between Grid and list, other than presentation, which is obvious, is you have the filter capability up here. So let's say we want to see everybody in a particular group, like alpha group. There's 26. And so we know I've already created groups here. I just want to see the 26 people in alpha. And if I click that and I hit apply, Gradebook's going to change. It's going to say, hey, you got filters applied. You're looking only at alpha. And it's just going to show me those 26 people. If I want to go back and say, I just want to see all of the quizzes, I may not even have any quizzes, say the quizzes and the tests from the 26 people in alpha. I can hit apply, and I'm just going to see those things that I filtered out. Blackboard Original has the same feature, but it's more challenging to get at. We have to use something called Smart Views. And I get asked by faculty to set that up a lot. I'll set the Smart View and I'll save it, and then there it will be. We also probably want to set up overall grade, although some faculty might not want to do this. This is another term for total grade or term grade or final grade. If we click set it up, then we tell Blackboard how the final grade or the overall grade is to be calculated. And I'll just show basic points, and then I'll delete it and go back and show weighting. I don't have good grade set up here, so thanks for your patience in advance. So it's already telling me that, here are the points that are under consideration. I've got exam items, but there's I've got the exam category, but there's nothing there. So I can just omit those things. It's just taking a raw calculation based on static points that are already there. So when I save, then it asks me, how will the overall grade be displayed? Letter, percentage, points. And because I'm using points as the basis of the calculation, probably better to just show points. So I hit save, and then I get out of here. You'll see that now I have an overall grade column, and I have the point calculations already made. So if everything you're doing in a course online is relatively automatic or straightforward, and you don't want to use weighting, then just clicking overall grade saying points usually suffices. I'm going to delete this overall grade so I can go back and restructure it. I'm going to set it up again. I'm going to use weighted. Now it gives me every single gradable item that exists in the course at present. And it gives an automatic even distribution of weights right now. Well, let's say I don't want that. Let's say I want all the tests. So notice that it's showing me a test category. I'm sorry, not items. It's all the categories. I should say, I misspoke. So if I expand that, there are 3 test items, 2 assignments, 2 discussions, 1 attendance item. Not sure where that came from. But let's say, and then the rest of these categories have even distribution. Let's say I want 50% from the test category. So I just click here and I say 50. Hit enter. That gives me 50 and then distributes everything else evenly. Well, let's say I don't want quizzes. I don't have any quizzes. I don't want presentations. I'm just hitting this no icon to the right of the percentage. I don't have journals. I don't have homework. I don't have exams, and I don't care about attendance. So now, because I did that, it left my 50% locked. Notice there's a lock to the left of the percentage value here. And then it distributed the rest of the percentage weights evenly. Well, let's say I want the assignments to be worth 35. It automatically gives me 15 for the other category. And if I want to change that, I can just click the lock icon. It goes back to unlocked. I can say, well, no, I made a mistake. I want this to be 20. So you just allow the application to balance those out for you based on category until the total ends up being 100. Now, if you want to exclude, let me go back and unlock all these, and you want to exclude like new test. You don't want it to be part of the calculation. You just hit the unlink there, and then it can become its own entity within the canvas here. I don't know how faculty are going to feel about this being easier or more complicated. I think once they figure it out once, it's easier than the way Blackboard Original handled weighting. And then you select how the overall grade is displayed and then hit save. And when you go back, you've got your overall grade, you've got the percentages already, the calculation's already figured out. You see the percentage score. Let me show you groups real quick because I think that's a common question because we're getting close to the end of time here. And then I can show you a little trick that I like downloading and uploading the grade book. So I'm going to clear all filters and let's go back to the content area. How we manage groups actually happens in the details and actions menu. And so we're going to go to course groups, view sets and groups. Right now I have a group set called group. I'm very imaginative, as you know. And then I can hit this down arrow and it shows me my 4 groups and how many students are in that group. If I want to make any changes to that, I just click this 3 dots icon and go to edit.
Will it do random assignment into groups?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It'll do it several different ways. I'm just going to delete it and we'll start over. So I'm going to click new group set. I'm going to group students either custom, randomly, or self-enrollment. I won't show self-enrollment because it's a little tedious. You create groups and then you instruct students to add themselves to a particular group, which can be fraught, but I've also seen some cool uses of it. Anyway, I'm going to go to random assignment because that's what you asked about. Yeah. We'll call this Eric's random group set. By default, it gives us 3, and it tells us that because we have 101 fake students, that it's going to be 35 to 36 per group. Mm-hmm. Well, what if we want 4? It's real nice about how it lays that out for us. We don't have to do the math. This I do like better than original. So we'll just say 4 groups, 26 to 27 per group. There may be 102 now because of that fake user. It automatically did that. It's done. We can just name them as we want. Gotcha. If we want to kick somebody out, we could unassign them. We say you're in no groups.
Or reassign.
Yes, sir. Or we don't have the other ones named yet.
Right.
But let's say we want this person to go into Bravo. They're in Bravo now. Let me finish the naming. I should have done that. Veteran Studies got me on Alpha Bravo, Charlie Delta.
Charlie Delta, Echo Foxtrot.
Exactly.
Keep going if you like.
We'll go on and on. So I'm just going to hit save. That's done. Let me show you kind of a neat if I can do it here. So let's say I want an Excel spreadsheet of this. It's pretty easy to get. You could also use Excel or another spreadsheet to manipulate this if you're more comfortable doing it that way. I'm just going to hit the 3 dots, go to export. And I want the group sets and group members, export the file. And then eventually it's going to let me download this. I don't know how long this takes, but I get an email on that. So I'm going to go to my email. And I'm going to should be able to download the list here. There. When I open that, group members, it gives me, now it's not very pretty right this second, but it gives me the group name, their username, first name and last name, and then the group set, which we could delete. If I just go to insert and table and say it's got headers, with a little bit of editing, I can, now I've got an offline list I can just sort of refer to. And I give this to faculty a lot. You can do this in original too. But you could also, if I wanted to manipulate this in Excel, as long as I keep it as a CSV, I could upload it back into Blackboard and it would change the group membership based on the CSV. I talked a long time and I rambled a little bit. I appreciate your interest. What questions do you have?
Well, it may be apparent if for those of you who are creating a course, but just for future reference, if I ever end up doing that, when I log into Blackboard, do I have to click on something to bring me to Ultra?
If you want a it's a great question, and I should have addressed that in the beginning. If you want an Ultra course to just muddle about in, let me know. I'll make you one. If you want to convert a course to Ultra, or if you're doing a new development, you want it to be an Ultra, that's a conversation to have with your instructional designer. If this is an eCampus course, and they'll make that happen and talk to you about the possibilities. Or if it's an internet-based course you're just running through your department, or you're doing this as supplemental material for a face-to-face course, then that's just something you call IT and handle, and they will straighten you out with that. There's some behind-the-scenes stuff we need to do to convert it.
So somebody needs to give me access to be able to get in and use this.
If you want to, you already have access to this play course that we have. So if you want to kick the tires, you're in Ultra.
Okay.
Vis-a-vis this course. If you want one of your own, let us know. Let somebody know.
Okay. So what you're saying though too is like long term, and I guess give me your 2 cents on this. Can a existing course in old Blackboard, I know you guys can do it behind the scenes, is what you're saying. You can course copy it or whatever you want to call it into Blackboard Ultra, but there may be some hiccups and things and special things they need to do, or is it better to just rebuild it?
There will be a significant conversion process. Now, it's not blood, sweat, and tears, but it's not 2 clicks and you're there either. What I would probably do is convert my shell to Ultra, or a dummy shell even, and then bring over items piece by piece. So for example, I can go into this Ultra course, and then I can go to hit these 3 dots and I can import content, or it's copy items, and I can find my original course.
Okay.
And I can sort of, this is not my course, it's Anthropology 201, but let's say I want to get that folder. In this folder are 2 items. I'm just going to copy them over. And I would do probably, if it were just me working by myself, I would just bring things over piece by piece. I would not there's a procedure to do a blanket copy. I'm not so sure about that. I just don't know how much work that is, but this is a little more straightforward doing it this way.
Okay.
And if you're doing an eCampus course, you're going to have that instructional designer to help you.
Right.
And if you need me, I'll help you. I'll do what I can for sure. So just as a reminder, we've got our Ultra PD1 course that runs through, it's about 80 minutes of instructional video. It's very quick quizzes designed to give folks the information they need to get started. If you want in on that, let me know. I'll add you. If not, please let me know how I can help.
Now, PD1 Ultra, we can add even like later in the semester.
Absolutely. Yeah, just send.
It's just there.
It's there. Send me an email, or there's a form online you can fill out if you want, but or send somebody else too. But just send me an email. I'll add you.
Thank you, Chris.
I really appreciate your time and attention today. Thank you both.
Mhm.
Really appreciate it. I'll stop the video, but if you want to ask more questions, I'd really love to talk about it.
No, thank you.
Sure. And also nobody's forcing any, so tell faculty, like eCampus isn't forcing anybody to do any of this. I imagine a time will come, there'll be an inflection point when faculty are going to decide if we're going to stay with Blackboard Inc. or we're going to,
I saw something about that and definitely sent another.
Ryan Baggett sent a solicitation to certain leadership about that question. I think it's probably going to come down to price. Whatever's a lot, if it's a lot cheaper, whatever it is, we're going to probably do that.
Welcome to state.
Welcome to state higher ed. Yeah.
All right. Y'all have a good day. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Beth. Thank you all. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.